Okay, happy Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday and man, oh man. So many things happening, but we are knee deep in our election season. Isn't that what we call it? Election season? Yeah. And so I thought to myself, let me do what I can do because, everybody has a right to their opinion because we're individuals, but I just feel some kind of way when people share misinformation. It just absolutely gets under my skin. So let me go ahead, play some music, and then we are going to jump into today's topic about why you should bother, why you should vote. Good Friday. Good afternoon. I am going to lend GR Houston Jack. This is Guuuuurl. Listen. And it's Friday. Oh my goodness. Can you believe it? It feels like the days are just flying by. Like next week is October already. What? Now I got to tell you, I'm happy to be done with summer. So I'm happy to have fall. The allergies are coming back. So I'm not crazy about that. But I really do enjoy fall. Love the fall weather. So before we get too far in, I want to say this. We are streaming live to LinkedIn and to YouTube. If you happen to be anywhere else, YouTube is an amazing experience. You have so many things. We have a poll going. As a matter of fact. So YouTube is a better experience. Come on over. We'd love you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And let me say what the poll question is, do you vote in every election? Like every, like your local, your state, like every election, do you vote? Because people don't seem to recognize how much power they actually have. I don't know why, but they don't recognize it. And so I want to talk about that today. I'm gonna tap on it today. But of course, it is Friday, so it is That G is Fire Fridays, TGIFF. Again, we start here at 4 o'clock Central with a live edition of Guuuuurl Listen. And then we roll on over to Indie Soup Media, where we have a replay. And then also Ladies Listen Up. That is there as well. So we were excited about that. Fridays is this is where it goes down. This is where it goes down. And before I go into our topic, because it's just, there's so many things happening. Just happen to have a brand new project that I have partnered up with a dear friend who very much like me enjoys getting into conversations. And I mean this. I want us to get back into having civil discourse. We can agree to not agree, but there is no need to be ignorant about it, to not want to listen or hear, to come into it with a closed mind. So my dear friend Aisla and I have something called Not Dinner Conversations. We talk about the stuff that if you had this conversation at dinner, somebody would probably be throwing something or splashing something or what have you. Here's a quick clip that's coming up for this Wednesday.
I don't disagree with them on that. I just disagree with which thing is the racist propaganda. Mm-hmm. There was a Black mother in, I want to say DC, who went viral on TikTok a few years ago because she was talking to the Board of Education about, her Black daughter had to write something in 3rd grade on a test about slavery and racism that she knew wasn't true. Mm-hmm. But she could either get a bad grade or write the truth. Mm-hmm. And that to me, it's not it's already, like you said, it's already happened. It's already here.
Mm-hmm.
They want to formalize this as a policy position that propaganda is what we're teaching instead of history. And
Yes. So Isla and I have a great time having these conversations. We're discussing Project 2025 this Wednesday. Again, it's called Not Dinner Conversations. Let me try. So we get into a lot. We talked about the politically homeless this past Wednesday. These are people who their values aren't truly aligning on this side and not on that side. So they feel as if they have no place to go. They're probably more than likely independent, but even then they're like, so they are politically homeless. And so we discussed a great number of topics, including that women can be misogynist. We also talked about the fact that some of our policies are anti-Black, and we dug into what you can do to move towards seeing the world the way you want to see it in terms of better change for all people. So we had that conversation too. So it's not dinner conversations. You guys should really tune into that on Wednesdays. Love having that there. But let me get into my topic today, because we are talking about why should I bother voting? Why should I bother? There's been a lot of chit chatter, and I it's so agitating. It is so agitating. And I think about this. It's a phone. It is a phone, right? And this phone, this smartphone, happens to be connected to the internet, i.e. the World Wide Web. And on the World Wide Web, there is this thing where it's attached to so many resources that if you want to find something, you can find it. And you don't even have to go to that page. We now have it, that you have these automated tools, like this AI tool can summarize a topic for you. Across the board, across the whole entire web, it can do all this for you. And yet and still, somehow, people just simply refuse to use their resources to get adequate information, something that's real. So here's where I go with this. Here's where I go with discussing why you should bother to vote. We know this week that Marcellus Williams, I'm going to use, I got to be careful with my words here because, I'm live and what have you, but they did not intervene in the execution of Marcellus Williams. Supreme Court did not, right? They didn't intervene. And in looking at what happened here, the Supreme Court on Tuesday declined to block the execution of Marcellus Williams, who in 2001 was convicted and sentenced to death for the 1998 stabbing murder of Felicia Gale. None of the forensic evidence found in Gale's house tied Williams to the scene, and his lawyers argued there was reason to believe that he was innocent. The lawyer who prosecuted Williams also testified that he excluded at least one potential juror because of that juror's race. Williams was executed by lethal injection on Tuesday evening in Monterey, Missouri. Justices Sonia Sotomayor, Alina Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson indicated they would have put his execution on hold, and Gale's family and the prosecutor had publicly objected to Williams' execution. Okay, I want that to sit with you for a second, because there are so many people. We have seen people upon people, and I'm being kind here, talk about why didn't President Biden and VP Harris get in there and do something, have done something. Here's where I get a little agitated. And I'm going to shout out my friend Ron Foster, who has already heard me in my agitation with those statements. They're misleading. Okay. For all the talk about Americans being proud to be an American, they don't know very much about how government works and how things work. That's also agitating, but I'll come back to that. But people talk about, why did they do something? I don't understand. Yada, yada, yada. Completely forgetting that everything has steps. There's a process. There's a process for all of these things. There is a process. And his case followed the process all the way to the Supreme Court. And you're thinking, okay, but I didn't vote for those people. I didn't have anything to do with that. That didn't have anything to do with me. Okay, well, here's where it does deal with you. And this is where I come to the place of why you should bother to vote. Now, earlier this year, I had the pleasure of inviting to the Guuuuurl Listen stage, Ms. Elise Harvey. And she had this message to share when she joined us earlier this year.
Right, which is the way most of the third party people come. They come the year, like it's the election time, so we'll come out. You're not building anything. So we know you're not gonna win, but you can impact the election just like you did happened in 2016. Yes. For the ones that don't vote and the ones that vote for a third party candidate, you can end up with a result that you won't really want, and we won't be able to live through. Because when you talk about these justices that he what people need to understand, I want to make this real clear. So those federal justices all have lifetime appointments. I want you all to understand it's not just the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. Other justices appointed by the president have lifetime appointments. And so these individuals that are ruling against the Fearless Fund, those are federally appointed justices by the former president that are there and will be there. And if he gets back in, it's going to be even more.
It's going to be even more.
And
so you're not looking at,
right.
You're not thinking, well, it doesn't impact me and I don't understand. It's like, it impacts you in some form or fashion. Because they are talking about, if you want to put a big layman terms, dismantling everything you know,
right,
and have come to rely on.
Right.
That's where they're going. When people say, well, do you want change? And they're like, yes, I would like to vote for change. But you don't tell them what kind of change they're voting for. They are telling you what they're voting for. Yeah. So everything we do and everything we don't do has an impact. And as everything from your local elections to your state elections to things happening on the federal level, everything has an impact. And so when people tell you, when people tell you there's no need to vote, it doesn't do anything, check it. In fact, I would even ask them, what are they getting out of telling you not to use the power that you have? That has not immediate implications, lifetime implications. This is not just, it's 4 years, it'll go away. These are lifetime appointments for justices, right? Lifetime. Their lifetime. They're there for a very long time, making decisions that impacts everything that we know. And everything that comes across the board. You know, I hate to do the shoulda, coulda, woulda. I hate going there, right? But I think about it. I think about the shoulda, coulda, woulda because I remember when President Barack Obama was in office, he had another appointment. And help me out, but I'm wrong, but they blocked it. They found every excuse to not give him that spot. And what happened? We ended up with what? Brett Kavanaugh? Well, wasn't that who we got? And then all the others, the other two who came? Yeah. When we don't show up for all the things, and shout out to GC Sports Talk, I know who you are. Afternoon, Carrie. Shout out to you. When we don't show up for all the things, see, we somehow people got us to believe that we only need to vote every 4 years. Forget the fact that there are things coming up every single year in your city, in your state that you have to vote on. I know recently there was a vote about Texans getting a personal sales tax. We were clear, like, we're not doing that, right? So, you know, like, there's always something happening. but we sleep on stuff. We don't think about the constable. We don't think about all the things that get impacted. Our school board persons. Like, there's so many things that your vote impacts. We only talk about the presidential race every 4 years. And then sometimes we sleep on the midterms too, which is how Barack Obama got in the spot that he was in. Right? Because it's not just the president. There is a spot where we have to do our part. So let's talk about how your vote impacts all of this, because we've already seen it. You know, we I shouldn't say we do know, because looking at these videos on social media, people don't know how government works. And it's agitating, especially since we all have access to a phone. You have this thing right here. You don't have to go to the library. You don't have to figure out the Dewey Decimal System. You got this right here. In fact, you can talk to it. You can talk to it. I'm not going to say anything because the machines will work here. But you can talk to it and say, hey, I want to know about this. And it will give you the information you need. So we know that you can find it. But I want to do a quick lesson. I'm going to do a quick social studies lesson. It was like fifth grade. Was that fifth grade we did this? Fifth grade, fourth grade? Something like that. Where we talk about the three branches and what they do. Right? Because people say, what's the president? Why can't they do stuff? Okay, well, they're the executive branch, right? And they have the power to appoint judges. They have some pardoning power. But then you got your courts. That's your judicial branch, Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, District Court. You know, they can declare that a presidential act is unconstitutional, you know? And then you have your Congress. Now, we just happen to have a Congress that has been the most, what's the word? I'm trying to be kind here. Well, they haven't done much. Let me just say that. They have not done much, right? But they create the laws and the president can veto them, but then the Congress can also, you know, they have impeachment power. They can override the vetoes. Like, this is not the president gets into office and just does some stuff. That's not how that works. Because if you don't have people who want to work with you, and we didn't have that this last couple of years, these people have been the most, what's the word? God, I'm trying to find something very gracious to say how they can keep a job and not do their job. I'm trying to find that word. Help me out, people. You just don't get to go in there and do stuff. Three branches, right? Three branches. So when people talk about stuff, let me just do this quick side note. This public service announcement. The VP has no power. Now, I know that folks out here saying, well, I don't know why Kamala ain't did nothing. She been there 4 years and she ain't did nothing. She's a VP. She's not supposed to. It's not her job. Okay? She has things to do. It's not doing the president's job. Okay? It's not her job. So when people get you thinking that, contraire, when people get you thinking that she's been there for 4 years and she ain't doing nothing, cut it out. If you do not know how the government works, honestly, you should take all the stadium seats. Take them all. Take a seat. Take a seat. Take them. Because you don't understand how stuff works. If you don't want to understand how it works, I would rather you just say that. I would rather you say that versus continuing to put out ridiculous stuff that we know is not true. And I'm gonna talk about us a little bit, as in like this right here. I'm gonna talk about us. I'm gonna do it. Hold on. I need to go back to my lesson. Let me go back to my lesson real quick. Hold on. All right, so we got it, right? So we know that Congress can approve the presidential nominations. They control the budget. They can pass laws over the president's veto. They can impeach the president. They can remove him or her from office. That's what they do. All right. So the president just can't get into office and start doing stuff. The president needs a Congress that they can work with. Now, we have been talking about how it would be great. It's going to be necessary that if VP Harris gets this job, she needs a Congress that will work with her. Because please don't think that all these Republicans, God bless them, who are voting for her are going to do what is probably necessary if they were to get in the House and the Senate. Please don't think that. Now, they want their party back. I mean, self-preservation. There's that. But please don't think that she doesn't have the people she needs to get the work done. It's going to get done. Because that's the sticking point. You need a Congress to work with the president. Now, looking again at these courts, the federal courts can declare laws unconstitutional, and the Senate confirms the president's nominations. Congress can impeach judges and remove them from office. Well, it'd be great if they did some work, because some of these Supreme Court justices, I don't know what the going price is. Ooh, did I say that out loud? Gwendolyn Renee. I did. I said it. So now let me get to you, because this is all about you, right? Because you're like, okay, Gwendolyn, thank you for the social studies lesson. And yes, some of us need it. A lot of us need it. Because we are saying a lot of ridiculous stuff with complete, just like not understanding how the government works. I'm kind of tired of it. If you're going to put something, and it's not my place to judge somebody and their message, but at the exact same time, I can. Because if you are purposely putting out misinformation, I want to know, what do you get out of it? What do you get out of telling people things that aren't true? Now, I don't know if you're getting paid, but what do you get out of it for spreading misinformation? I just don't understand. Help me understand. So let's talk about you now. Where do you come in? In all of this? So we got legislative, right? They make the laws. They approve the presidential appointments, 2 senators from each state, number of congressmen, yada, yada, yada. Your executive, they sign the laws, they veto laws, they pardon people, they appoint federal judges. They're elected every 4 years. Judicial, side of laws are unconstitutional. Appointed by the president, there are 9 justices. They can overturn rulings by other judges. And this is where you are. You need to vote, because democracy only works if the citizens are active in the process. It doesn't work by itself. This does not work by itself. It doesn't work if you just vote every 4 years and sit everything else out. It doesn't work that way. We need for everything. You're a state attorney general. We need you for that. We need you for your governor. My governor. We need you for every single one, every single thing. If they want to raise your property taxes, yes, you get to vote on that. You need to be there for everything. This only works. This experiment only works if you are involved. That's how it works. Now let's talk about something, because I had to do a little history lesson. I like to get into things because I don't realize how long it hasn't been until I start doing my history. I want to talk about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Check that date, y'all. 1965. I said it once, I'm going to say it again. I was born in 1975. Okay. We haven't been here that long. We have not been here that long that there are people who are so ready to roll everything that people have fought for back. We haven't been here this long. We haven't. And so when people speak about voting without the idea of just how long some of us have had the right to vote, I actually get upset. So again, history lesson. This act was signed into law on August 6, 1965 by President Lyndon Johnson. It outlawed the discriminatory voting practices adopted in many southern states after the Civil War, including literacy tests as a prerequisite to voting. In 1964, numerous peaceful demonstrations were organized by civil rights leaders, and the considerable violence they were met with brought renewed attention to the issue of voting rights. The murder of voting rights activists in Mississippi and the attack by white state troopers on peaceful marches in Selma, Alabama, gained national attention and persuaded President Johnson and Congress to initiate the meaningful and effective national voting rights legislation. The combination of public revulsion to the violence and Johnson's political skills stimulated Congress to pass the Voting Rights Bill on August 5th, 1965. And this is where I now sit, because I need to understand that this was just done in 1965. And yet today, in 2024, we have people who look like me telling me that there is no need to vote, that your voice doesn't matter. I can't even tell you how upset I really am, because my mama's watching and I may say some stuff, so I'm going to keep it PG, but it absolutely hurts me to know that people were murdered and have died. And even today, there are people working extra hard to stop you from voting. But somehow, some way, somebody has convinced you that your vote, your voice does not matter and has no power. I need to understand it. Help me understand. How is that possible? How is it possible that in just this short time frame, we have people believing that their voice has no power? We have celebrities who look like me, who have made a way, got a little change, got a little something, got a little whatever, and now we're telling you, you don't have to vote. Voting has no place. Don't worry about voting. Don't show up. Don't waste your time. You ever ask yourself what they get out of telling you that? Because I can't help but go back to, I wouldn't be here if somebody hadn't put their life on the line for these rights of free speech, for the access to even say what I am saying right now. Somebody fought for that. Somebody died for that. And yet and still, there are people every day getting on social media telling you that it ain't worth it. How? Like how did that con go down? I'm literally confused. How did that con go down? How did that work? So check it. There are mad assaults on the right to vote. It's happening, people. Please don't think that just because you have it today, you will have it tomorrow. It doesn't take much for them to come in and swoop it. Hello, Supreme Court's doing all the things right now. All the things. There are multiple challenges to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Multiple. And when people talk about state rights, check it when it comes to state rights. Okay? Those state rights. There's a reason why. There's a reason why you want things to be on a federal level, to make it for everybody. Because if you lead up to the states, look at Roe v. Wade, where the moment they overturned it, how many states went out and made these ridiculous bans, putting women's lives at risk every day? Because states have rights. And your state has decided that they don't want to give you access to this health care. I'm going to say it again. How did they get so many people to believe that the voice didn't matter when they're working overtime to block any access to you voting? If they're working that hard to stop you from doing it, shouldn't that tell you it must mean something? It must be important. It must have power. Shouldn't that tell you that? That's really? Really? So we have Senator Reverend Warnock, his colleagues, they want to reintroduce the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. They are working on making that Lawmakers announced that Senate Judiciary Committee hearing on the John R. Lewis Voting Rights Act advancement on Tuesday, March 12th. Legislation would likely have prevented voter suppression laws like SB 202 in Georgia, which effectively allows partisan state actors to overrule the decisions of local election officials. He says this legislation is more important than ever because the fight to protect voting rights and voting access for every eligible American remains unfinished. And even worse, so much of the progress Congressman Lewis fought for is being rolled back. I just knew as a kid that I wouldn't be here today. I knew as a child in elementary school, junior high, as I was reading these history books, I thought, ooh, we have come a ways and we're going to keep on coming. We're going to do it. I just knew, just considering childlike dreams. I just knew that I wouldn't be here in 2024 fighting for the right to vote, fighting for healthcare. I just knew that we would be so much further along. But when you take your foot off the gas pedal, when you ease up a little bit, stuff can go sideways. We get comfortable. And when you get comfortable, people show up. So here's how I want to make sure I end this. We got vote.org, right? It takes like 2 minutes. If you are not a registered voter, get registered. Vote.org has all the info you need to check things. They have the dates per state, right? Everything you need to get yourself ready for your state election, it's right here. For the federal election, it's right here. This is one of many places. This is my choice. Of course, I went to Texas to show, but you've got deadlines, rules, all the links are there. It's a matter of minutes. If you know someone who is considering sitting it out, let them know how this plays out. For all the people who said they were hurt and disappointed in the execution of Marcellus Williams, you better make sure, you better say, look, if you felt this way about what happened to him, you need to make sure that you're out there voting. And early voting starts very soon. Because I don't want to hear you talking about something and then you not being about something. Stop talking about it, be about it. Get up and do what you can do. Because whatever you do or don't do, trust it impacts somebody else. Could be your family member. But there was so much talk about how they were hurt and upset. And then you tell me that you don't even vote? We got problems, kid. Because it's lip service. We're past time for lip service. It's time to start showing up and showing out. And that's how you can do it. If you're not registered to vote, get in there. Talk to your friends. Talk to your loved ones. And if they don't, ask them why they feel like they shouldn't. Now, I'm speaking from a Black woman's perspective. Okay? I'm going to say it again. 1965. Yeah. It has not been that long. And it is absolutely upsetting for the last time, I'm saying it again, to see people who look like me saying that we don't need to bother voting and that it doesn't matter. I know that the people who came before me didn't die, didn't put their life on the line, didn't go through heat and marches and being sprayed with water hoses just so you can be here today and say that it don't matter. I know better. Because where does that leave you? Shout out to Peggy in the building. Where does it leave you? Because I'm really concerned. Like I have to ask the question. You know, my dear friend Rhonda, we were checking to see if lynching was finally outlawed. And we checked it. It became a federal law, if I'm not mistaken, in 2022. Yeah. lynching. Still on the books. Still. Really? So please tell me where that leaves you. When we know that there are plenty of laws on the books that are anti-Black, that persons of color and people who are in lower economic situations, the justice system does not treat them fairly. We ain't even gonna pretend. Like, let's just stop pretending. Let's get real here. We know how it works for us. We have the power. Every single one of us has the power. You have to choose to use it. And you have that choice this November. Okay? I want to make sure we are aware of that. If I leave with nothing else, get out there and vote early. Get it done. Get her done. Vote early. Make sure that your voice is heard. And I am not using the situation with Marcellus Williams as a means to an end. We have to talk about it though, because it was clear that when Missouri did what they did, I don't understand. Because the victim's family didn't believe in the death penalty. They asked for a life sentence. There was evidence that could have possibly cleared him. There was no need to and yet they did. And the Supreme Court, yes, they voted as they have voted a lot this past year and some. So check that, okay? Check it. With that said, get with your loved ones, do your research, use your phone. Use your phone. If you're not sure about it, check it. Get on the internet, check that stuff out. And I typically go to the government website to get my information because, it's the archive. So why not? With that, enjoy your weekend. Hug your loved ones. We are coming and going. I say that. Hug your loved ones. Reach out to a friend. And check us out on Wednesday for Not Dinner Conversations with my friend Aisla. Again, we're discussing Project 2025 this Wednesday. We're going to shrink it as much as we can, but it's a great episode. So tune in for that. And I will see you all next week. Thank you for watching another episode of Guuuuurl, Listen. Be sure to tune in every other Friday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we also invite you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.